Welcome back to Vikings Central. This is the pregame show for Week 11 that's featuring the Chicago Bears coming to US Bank Stadium against the Minnesota Vikings. So, with this show, we do invite you guys, if you are joining us, whether it be on X or YouTube, Facebook, make sure that you drop comments in the chat and we'll go ahead and answer them throughout the show as we get them or feature your comments if you don't have questions. Now, with today's pregame show, we actually have two different guests that we're going to be featuring today, which is super exciting for me. And our first guest that we're going to have on is going to be Josh at the Bro Ohioan that you've maybe seen on X, and he's been very active. So, Josh, the Bro Ohioan, on social media, if you want to follow him, go ahead, follow him. There's his X. He is our first special guest that we have on the show. It's his first time on, and look forward to having him on multiple times in the future. So, with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and welcome him on. Josh, how we doing?
Doing great, man. Happy to be here, ready to talk some ball.
Absolutely. So now, anyone that does follow you on social media is pretty aware with the type of Vikings content that you put out there. But if you want to talk us through, how active you are, the different stuff that you put on there, or if there's any other ways on social media that they can follow you.
Yeah, to be honest, man, I had never even really watched games with other Vikings fan. I mean, I'm a Vikings fan in Ohio. You know, those are hard to come by.
Sure.
And on social media, I was just kind of screaming into the void on Facebook, and I mean that's probably the worst place to talk sports. And I started to get more into podcasts. Pat McAfee show and stuff, and they were
Hmm.
talking up Twitter as far as talking ball went. And so I slowly in 2022 started to migrate to Twitter and was like, oh, this is actually where it's at. This is where I can find my tribe and everything like that. And I have, man. And I would say if you do follow my page, it's a lot of satire, sarcasm, humor. I try to, you know, we as Vikings fans, might be the most tortured fan base there is. Very
Absolutely.
strong argument for it, and I try my best. I feel like I can be realistic when those times come, but I try to be positive and keep everyone reeled in to the best that I can. Which is sometimes very hard. People get mad at you for being positive sometimes, but I can usually laugh things off. But yeah, so I came up with me and my buddy were thinking about starting a podcast, sports
Hmm.
podcast, and he was like, "What should we call it?" I'm like, "I don't know, dude. We're just some bros from Ohio talking ball." I was like, "Why don't we just call it the Brohioans?" And he was like, "I like that." And I was like, maybe I'll just make that my Twitter name until we do." We never
Hmm.
did, and it's stuck with my Twitter name. So
Sure.
that's really the lore behind it all.
Well, you put out some good content, and there's a lot of different individuals on X that they follow the Vikings. They're diehards, and as you mentioned, yes, we're a tortured fan base, but that also is what makes us super loyal
Hmm.
to our team. So those individuals that especially in a season that right now we haven't had some things going our way, that's really when you start seeing some of the true fans come out that are still sticking with the team and aren't just bandwagon or hey, I'm gonna go, check out another team. I'll be back, once you guys are better. Those true fans that stick with the team through thick and thin. You're one of those guys, even in Ohio. So do appreciate the different content that you put out there and appreciate you joining the show. For those of you out there that are those Vikings diehards, we are always looking to bring other voices on here, whether it's two, three, four of us on here too. We do want to make sure that this is a platform where we can bring on some different voices to talk Vikings football and share those different opinions. But having Josh on today is great. We have a fantastic show. Later on in the show, I'll be joined by Sean from at Bears No Context, and he's actually going to break down some of the Bears keys of the game, what they think they need to do to try to get a win at US Bank Stadium. But Josh and I are focused on Vikings winning this game on Sunday, and I think we're able to do it. I think that is definitely within the realm of possibility. We beat this team in week one, and I get that both of these teams are in different places. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at the tail of the tape. So Bears come into this and having a successful season. So they're not bottom dwellers right now. We are, but they're in first right now at 6-3 in the division. Overall, they're ranked number 13. Offense is ranked 10th. They've really been kicking in gear now this second half of the season so far. Uh, Caleb Williams is really starting to come into his own. And I talked a little bit with that on with Sean. So Sean actually recorded a segment with me, and one of the things that he talked about that you'll see later in the show is we kind of discussed where Bears fans were with Caleb Williams last year, with again some of those highs, and there was still a lot of lows last year with Caleb Williams, where there was even talk where they wanted to bring in their backup quarterback and uh, bench Caleb Williams. So I mean, they went through some of those lows, and with a rookie quarterback, which basically that's what we're having to deal with right now, is some of those highs and lows with JJ McCarthy. He's only had 4 starts, so we're seeing some of the fan base struggles that they went through last year, and now they're starting to see some success. And hopefully that's something that we have to look forward to, maybe not just this year yet. Hopefully there's still highs there, but, you know, going into next season, because you're not going to find out everything about JJ McCarthy this year. You probably won't until the end of next year of whether or not you think you got the guy. But with JJ McCarthy, I think, you know, riding through some of those rough times that you see in an initial season, again, not comparing the two, you know, uh, who leads who has the record for the most interceptions for a rookie quarterback?
Is it Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, and again, not comparing the two. I'm not saying he's going to be Peyton Manning, but gosh, I mean, you just got to look at, uh, you know, there's been a lot of quarterbacks that just haven't had success early, and some of the ones that have, Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud, you know, had those some sophomore slumps, if you will. So it's hard to get a really good baseline, especially when JJ's not starting the entire season. So
Right. Yeah, Caleb, I mean, when he was the number one overall pick, he was looked at as generational when he came in. You know what I
mhm,
mean? Like, that's what they thought they were getting in. Last year, they were, first year starters. And let's be honest, Bears haven't had this big history of great quarterback play. I mean, you could make an argument probably at the end of the season that Caleb might be the best they've had ever already. Like they've never even had a 4,000-yard passer. And that's one reason I was glad we got to play them week one. I was like, okay, we return all of our coaches, no coaching turnover. They got brand new coaches. They got a brand new offense they're trying to implement. It might be a little bit rusty at first. And that first drive, man, Caleb was slippery. We kept feeling like we were closing the pocket in on him, but he does
mhm,
best when he can move around and make plays. And man, and he showed you on that first drive, in that first game when he was running to the sidelines and it was a third down and he just threw one as hard as he could, right on the money, right on the sidelines, man. And he'll do that, but then he'll have those plays where it's like an easy pass and it's in the dirt a little bit. He's still young. These guys are so young, man. So much pressure on them. There's a lot of moving parts. He's in a new offense, but they
mhm,
have looked better as the season's gone on. I mean, the record, whatever, say what you want about it, but all you can do is play who's in front of you. Yeah, they haven't really beat any good teams, but they have a winning record and they're only getting better. You know what I mean? And with JJ, Caleb, Heisman Trophy winner, came in, as this generational guy, and JJ comes in more looked at as like this national champion who was more of a game manager and did what it took to win.
mhm.
They called him a handoff merchant and
Yeah.
things like that. And I'll be honest, when the draft was coming up and I knew we needed a quarterback, I was all in on Drake May. 5 first-round
Same.
picks. I don't care. Throw them away. Let's get that guy. And then they decided that wasn't worth it, that they wanted JJ. And I was skeptical at first, but when you turn on the tape, you really do see everything you need to see with JJ. You know, he's got the arm, he's got the leadership, things you can't really teach with the leadership, especially. And you know, we got the guy. If we ever have had a guy to bring it out of him, we do now, you know, and we got talent around him. But, you know, having that setback his rookie year where he got hurt and, you know, he needed all the reps he could get, you know, like it was great that he was able to get a redshirt year, learn a little bit, but nothing can beat actual reps. And I don't think he would have ever started last year because Darnold was playing great, but you know, to get those reps in practice, the game speed, you know, that stuff matters. And then he comes in week one and it's rocky at first. The dude hadn't really thrown a ball in an actual game in quite a bit. So, and then it's on the road against the team he grew up rooting for, you know, against the dude who was drafted over him. And it took him a minute to settle down, but he did it. He showed you right there. And it's like, oh, we have the guy. This is it. This is it. This is everything we wanted and deserved. And then the next week, it feels like it all comes crashing down. And that's how this league works. You know, this week, Sunday, you know, everyone's been hating on JJ. He sucks all of a sudden. You know, he was the hero after the Lions game. Right. Now he's back to the zero. But this Sunday, if
he was hero. You know, Falcons game. You know,
exactly.
Lions game. Hey, he's back. And then, you know, again, last week at the Ravens. Now, you talked about Drake May. So we made an attempt to go at Drake May, you know, and there were a lot of people that said, you know, that Drake May had a lot of red flags to him.
Yeah.
That he wasn't going to pan out. So, again, evaluating quarterback is a really fickle thing in this league. And a lot of times, you know, draft pick wise, it's hard to really hit, you know. But we'll see. There's a lot of time to really still evaluate JJ. We know that he has the leadership skills. We know that he has, you know, that winner trait to him, if you will, that he's had all the way since high school and college. You know, so hopefully he can carry some of that mentality into the huddle, and hopefully it's infectious in that locker room. But again, he's young. He's 22, 4 games. You know, that's just, you know, pump the brakes. He's going into his fifth game. We just have to be going in with every game with the mindset that this is going to be this year and a next year project. There's going to be highs. Yes, there's going to be lows and maybe some low lows in there too. But that's you know, yes, I get it. This team, we built it up and, you know, we were a 14-win team last year. I totally get that. But the fact of the matter is Sam Darnold's not here. Kirk Cousins not here. You know, A-Rod, you know, none of those guys are coming on this team. You have JJ. That's your guy. So as a fan, you know, it's your choice whether or not you want to get behind him and support him. But I feel like as a fan base, you know, the more support he has, the easier this process is going to be for him as well, to kind of shut out some of that outside noise and focus on the football field.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And, you know, the things we've seen out of him, man, the leadership is a big thing for me. And that's what I was just afraid of with Darnold. Darnold could sling it, but I wondered what his leadership was like. And he's went on to Seattle and he's looked the part. He's kept the ball rolling and probably even a little bit faster. You know what I mean? And so it's like, okay, now that makes everyone impatient with our guy and frustrated with our guy all of a sudden. And I get it. I do. The injury concerns and stuff, that's the toughest part for me. It isn't, you know, I think he will be good when the reps come down and the game slows down for him and they get this figured out. You know, it's still a process, you know, KOC trying to figure out, you know, what our identity, you know, he wanted, like, that's the thing with him, like against the Ravens, like JJ threw the ball like 40 times. I think it was the most he's ever thrown. And you know what I mean? We were down in that game, but not down enough to completely abandon the run, especially when it was working. Like
absolutely correct.
Has proved, looking the Lions and the Bears game, I think we either ran the ball more or like right there with the pass, you know, and we won both of those games. And sometimes I think KOC gets a little pass happy, and when you have essentially a rookie quarterback and you know what's coming, oh, they're about to throw it, and you can pin your ears back on them, it becomes easier to defend. So I think KOC needs to do a better job of helping out our young guy. Every KOC's this offensive guru, rightfully so, coach of the year last year. He's got his work cut out for him with this. People are impatient because of the injuries, and I'm all in. I'm all in, like you said, till at least the end of next year to find it out. Like, it's not always going to be pretty, but
Right.
I do expect a better game this week than we saw last.
Absolutely. So as we get back into the tail of the tape, the defense, a little bit banged up, for the Bears coming in this game. We may not see Jalen Johnson, kind of interesting that all of a sudden Brisker and Jalen Johnson, now there's talk that, maybe both of them play. Of course that would happen for us. But, again, their defense has been vulnerable to the pass game. Now, you talked about it a little bit on the run. This is something that I've been harping on as well, too. We have to be able to stay committed to the run.
Absolutely.
Now, part of that is we can't get down big in games to where, running the ball isn't so much of an option anymore. And you have to pass more. So I get it if that happens, but so we have to be able to keep it close, and our defense has been able to do that. So I think that's on us for not being able to stick through the game. Last week, we averaged 6.7 yards per carry on the ground. Now, with that, some of that was bolstered towards the end with some of the JJ runs, but again, both running backs, Jones was averaging at a good clip, and so was Jordan Mason. And there was no reason why we should have gotten away from the run, and we need to be able to run the ball when we're in third short situations and have faith, especially when we have a healthy offensive line back. So defense, yes, they're vulnerable to the pass, and I hope that JJ is able to take care of that and take advantage of that. Special teams are 14. We come in 4-5, and again, now we're struggling, especially after the Ravens game where we fell from 19th to 25th. Our offense, falling a little bit at 29th, defense at 23rd, special teams at second. And I think some of this stuff is a little bit, again, these are PFF stats. That defense 23rd, we're better than that.
Yeah, we've gotten better since. I mean, the Ravens game, the defense held, man. They were put in bad spot. I mean, you're going against Lamar Jackson. He's good enough to carry an offense by himself. They were healthy. They had nobody on the injury report. We played a completely healthy Ravens team, and our defense really stepped up. So, yeah, right there it says, 23rd on defense. We are no doubt better than that. But we will be missing a key piece, and that's a little bit scary. But I expect the other boys to step up.
So you already mentioned it. So when we talk about key injuries on the injury report, we know that Ryan Kelly, who's still dealing with that concussion, he's close. We're in that guardian cap. We hope he's going to be healthy, and that keeps him off the injury report going forward. So we might see him back next week. And then, of course, Jonathan Grenard, he went out with that injured shoulder in last week's game and didn't come back. And there were, KOC was hopeful that he was going to play this week, but probably the smart thing is to rest him and bring him back in the next game when we face the Packers. So no Jonathan Grenard. That means we got to have Dallas Turner step up a little bit more. Andrew Van Ginkel is going to be on the other side. And then as well as rotational players, you're going to have in there Chambliss, you're going to have Tyler Batty, you're going to have now I'm having a mind blank on my head, but you're going to have those individuals rotating a little bit in there to try to keep that defensive line fresh.
Well, and we blitz a lot of different ways. Like Eric Wilson had 2 sacks last week. You know what I mean? Like, we can create pressure. Grenard he's top 3 defensive player we got. Maybe the best.
Bo Richter is who I was thinking of. Sorry.
Yeah, Bo Richter. Yeah. So losing him, yeah, it is a big deal. Like, Flores might have to get a little more creative, with certain things, which if anyone's capable of it, it's him. The first game we were kind of getting, and kind of the story of the year a little bit, we were getting to Caleb. We just weren't finishing. Like, he was slippery. He's very mobile. He can get out of that. But, and I know people, Dallas Turner's another one people are getting a little impatient on because we did give up a lot for him. And when you do give up a lot, expectations go up. But man, like he flashes that hit on Lamar. I about jumped through my ceiling when he hit him, and then I realized I was like, but that was beautiful. As someone grew up watching old school football, it was like, that's it. That's a highlight. That's Sports Center top 10 stuff potentially.
Right.
And then it was like, but we got one against Jack Campbell. They got it. That Ravens got that back. But I still believe in Dallas Turner. These dudes are so young.
I do too.
They're growing into their body. They're 22. Give them time.
That's the key. He's young. He had to grow into his body and get stronger and bigger. He is fast, but some of the technique, you can't just have one move in this league either. And I think that's something that Dallas Turner has gotten better this year, and I think we're only going to see him grow even more. Now, what I want to do is I want to jump into, because I don't want to miss out on our sponsors. Every week, Luis is always giving away some cool art from That's Badass Wood Art. So make sure that you're checking them out. That's badasswoodart.com. They sponsor our post-game show, Badass Player of the Game. Go ahead and use that code VC15 for 15% off. And I also want to make sure, if any of you guys are going to the Vikings game, you don't have tickets yet, go to SeatGeek, use that code Vikes Central, and you get $20 off any $50 or more purchase. Again, Vikes Central. That's good for any events, any concerts that you're going to as well too. So go ahead and use that and get that extra additional $20. Now, the next thing I want to jump into is just some videos that I want to talk about with JJ McCarthy, and just analyzing those before we get into the keys of the game. So just one second, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the very first section, which is towards the end of last week's game.
With all that talent they have out there. McCarthy on first down, too tall for Jefferson, and the pass incomplete. Alohi Gilman trying for the.
So right there again, we're when we talk about accuracy, some of the things that we were seeing in last week's game, in this 2-minute drill especially, you're going to see some of the things that you're almost seeing a flash of what could be and what JJ needs to improve on, all in one section here.
Pick. Okay. Can't pull it in. We welcome those of you who've been watching the Bears and Giants. Here we are in Minnesota with an 8-point game. Vikings with the football deep in their own end, inside the 10. No timeouts left for Kevin O'Connell. Down 8 to Baltimore. Minnesota led at halftime.
And one of the things I wanted JJ to work on from last week, I believe you're going to see on this play.
In the second half to stretch the lead. McCarthy from the end zone.
Nobody in front of him.
McCarthy with some room across the.
Yeah, he's capable of that, man. He's got some wheels. It's deceptive, but he can run when he needs to, and that's hard to defend when you got a guy who can throw, as hard as he can, and he could, because he's got. I mean, Hawkinson compared his throws to a young Stafford. He's got zip. That's the no problem. It's the touch passes and accuracy. If he gets that down, man, he's going to be really special.
Yeah, the first 2 games he struggled with. If his read wasn't there, and again he had pressure, he'd pull the ball down and run. He wasn't keeping his eyes down the field looking. And when he came back for the Detroit game, that's one of the things I wanted to see him change and improve on, and he did. But then the mistake that he was making in both the Detroit game and for most of this Ravens game until towards the end of the game is when he had green grass in front of him, he wasn't taking off to run it and just pick up, even just like when it was 3 yards.
Yeah, that
instead of throwing that
on that Jefferson interception, he had a first down. It was all green. I get it. It's Justin Jefferson. You want to give him the ball as much as possible, but in this league, take what they give you sometimes. You know what I mean? And that was right there. So it's a learning experience.
Absolutely. So you definitely saw that. And this is what he could be. He has that mobility. He has that skill that some of these good running quarterbacks have.
going into it. They had not played well all day long, and then they were able to find a way in the fourth quarter. Can they find a way here on this final opportunity?
Very next play.
McCarthy again with pressure coming.
Didn't step into the ball, but he was able to get it to Hawkinson.
Open field tackle by Keon Martin. No timeouts. Clock will continue to run. Under a
and now on this next
snap.
play, you're going to see a little bit more of that inaccuracy.
Taking some time.
He seems to be a lot more accurate when he steps into the football.
Too much of it. 2nd and 6.
Steps into the throw.
Over the middle, incomplete.
Yep.
Jalen Naylor, the closest.
So incomplete on that pass.
It'll bring up 3rd and 6.
Shout out to Jalen Naylor, by the way. What a dog this year, dude.
He was.
So good.
So they're going to bring that up right here.
Yeah.
Okay, at 124. Look at how many targets.
Dude, he was nails, and people were so low on him in the preseason. I guess in camp he was dropping a lot of balls, and then the injury right before the season started, we panic traded for Thielen, and he's done nothing but ball, man. Naylor, that is.
So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this to one of the other key plays of the game. Again, this is a what could be. This is an absolute thread.
Yeah.
From J.J. McCarthy to Jalen Naylor. And again, this is a great job by Jalen Naylor for not only making the catch, but keeping his feet in bounds and awareness of where he is at.
McCarthy to the back of the end zone. It's Naylor reaching.
And that's on Nate Wiggins. You know, he's a good corner. Like, he's a very good corner in this league. And that's the thing, the Ravens defense, other than Matabuke, they were all healthy, man. And they have one of the best defensive backfields there is. You know, Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks has been really good as a rookie. Wiggins, Chidobe, Awuzie, Marlon Humphrey. I mean, that's dogs back there. You know what I mean? And, you know, and throwing it 40 times with a guy in his, you know, 4th start, you know, against that defense wasn't a recipe for success, you know, but Naylor was a bright spot for sure.
Absolutely. Now, if some of you guys didn't see, you know, again, JJ had 12 targets in that game. And obviously, you know, there's a little bit of heat that he took as far as, you know, the effort that he put in to maybe go get some balls, maybe even contest them during that Ravens game. And I think that's all fair and valid. You know, and he even mentioned that, hey, you know, he wants to see that year 3 fire that he had. You know, he posted on his Instagram with that famous Bills catch that he caught one-handed. And, you know, so is this a turn back the clock game for him? We'll see. You know, he got the targets last week, and some of that is a combination of, hey, JJ has to be more accurate. And some of it, you know, at least last week was, you know, hey, you got to catch that ball, you know. You know, when you're getting, and he had 2 of these. I want to say one in the Detroit game and then also one in the Ravens game. If JJ's hitting you on the hands, you got to catch those.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, no matter who that is for the receiver, you know, he had one of those in the Ravens game that, you know, would have been a touchdown again. That, you know, I believe that was one on the drive where we ended up going for it on 4th down and couldn't punch it in.
Right.
Regardless, that's a game changer there, and you got to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like a part of it's probably because Justin Jefferson was out in training camp, but I expected to see Jordan Addison and McCarthy link up a little bit more. I mean, it seemed like they were playing bully ball in camp, and Jordan Addison, he's proved he's a number 1 wide receiver in this league, you know, and if they are covering Justin Jefferson, you know, have bracket coverage on him or rolling the defense his way, Jordan Addison should absolutely eat. And we have a tight end who's paid as a top 5 tight end who should absolutely eat. Like Naylor did, you know, I hopefully this game we have so many weapons that, you know, there's plenty of mouths to feed, and from game to game it can change. I'm fine with that, but I really would love to see Addison get going this game, man. And Justin too, a bounce back. Like you said, that first interception, I was like, okay, I feel like he could have contested it a little better. Some people called it a hospital ball, but everyone was playing. Both DBs were playing the ball. They weren't going to hit Justin. I felt like he could have played it better. And then when it got picked,
absolutely.
Then when it got picked, he kind of nonchalantly, because he knew he had touched him. So I was like, okay, Justin knows he touched him. But that second one, right? No, I get it. Don't leave it in the ref's hands. That second one, though, I get it, setting the edge, whatever, but that's a bad look. Like, did he need to make the tackle? But it just seemed like, the dude got like 15 yards, you know what I mean? Like downfield, because Justin just wasn't hustling. And that's just not a good look from a captain. You know what I mean? Yes, he's paid a lot. If he would have got hurt on that, this is football. You take a chance every single play, every single move you make out there. You know what I mean? And the objective is to win the game. And if you're just like, we didn't score, like, I don't know. It was a bad look. The drop, it was just an off game. I even tweeted, this might be the first time ever Justin Jefferson is frustrating me a little bit, and some people were blaming JJ, and like JJ didn't play a great game, but like they aren't mutually exclusive. Like Justin didn't play a good game either. He didn't play a bad game because of JJ. He just played a bad game, and that you can say that. But the thing with Justin is you can believe, okay, that's short lived. He's going to bounce back, and I have no doubt he will, especially if he's coming out and saying, hey, I need to lock in. I don't know what he's got going on, and he's been nothing but, a first-class teammate person since he's been on our team. So if anyone deserves a little grace, it's Justin Jefferson. He's had a revolving door at quarterback lately. I get it. That the way he's covered, it can all be frustrating, but we have a young quarterback. He needs you out there giving it his all. You're all every play. You're a captain. That's why you're voted a captain. That's why you're also paid that much. He'll bounce back. I don't think the noise or anything. People are talking about him probably wanting out soon. I'm not buying all that. You know what I mean? He could have 150 yards and 2 touchdowns this week, and it's bad. And it's business as usual. So he'll bounce back. I'm not too worried about Justin.
Couldn't have said it better. You're spot on with that. So, and that's why I got you on the show, right? Let's talk about Vikings key to victory. So these are some of the 5 things that I kind of want to bring up, and I'm going to drop off my banner on the bottom here, just so you can see that bottom one in here. But again, if you have questions for Josh or I about the Bears Vikings game, go ahead and drop them on X, YouTube. Make sure if you're not already following us, go ahead and do that as well too. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about these. Neutralize the Bears pass rush, protect JJ McCarthy in the pocket. Now, the Bears pass rush, we got to be able to not let that affect us. The Bears lead the league in the turnover margin. They're plus 14. JJ's got to make smart moves with the football. We can't have, it was 3, almost 4 turnovers last week, and we got to be smart with the ball. So obviously we've taken a lot of sacks as well too. So giving up pressure or 8 false starts, shooting ourselves in the foot, that's not going to help us be able to continue drives. It's going to kill drives, especially on some of those 3rd down plays. So JJ's got to have time. Offensive line's got to give him the time in the pocket as well too. So let's just go ahead and try to neutralize that Bears pass rush.
Right. We have Christian Darrisaw this time, which Christian Darrisaw or Justin's school, you know what I mean? So having him back helps. And the Bears pass rush, Montez Sweat's a very good player. Their pass rush struggles outside of that, but they just picked up Chauncey Gardner, CJ Gardner Johnson, CJGJ, and he's one of those guys I think he had like 2 sacks last week. So they're getting a little bit more creative with ways to get a rush in there. And he's one of those guys who loves to talk, and he's a little bit of a menace. And I hate playing against those guys, but when they're on my team, I kind of like defenders like that. I kind of wish we had one that kind of ran his mouth and wasn't so liked and stuff, but they have him. So, we have Darrisaw now. That should help with that, but keep an eye on Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, man. Don't let him get in there, because he gets a sack and he gets that mouth running. That's something you don't want to see.
Dan Bynum used to be our guy, right?
Yeah, right.
He used to be that guy. Nick on X says, do you think KOC goes to a more quick pass scheme this game for once? I believe key to victory tomorrow is getting the ball out within 2.5 seconds. I think Yeah, I mean, we can do some more of that, but again, you can't be afraid to extend the field because that's where people are going to load the box on the Vikings. And at the same time, you already have people that are playing close-up coverage and putting hands on Justin Jefferson at the line. So some of those plays are advantageous to what teams want to do against JJ as well too. So you got to kind of mix it up. And I think getting the play action and getting JJ rolling out is a good thing, not only for his legs, but it's also a good thing if he can be more accurate once he's outside the pocket and stepping into his throws and layering that in. So
Yeah.
thanks for that, Nick. I appreciate that.
Yeah, the Bears can be had over the top. They can
Absolutely.
be. So absolutely with the quick games, because that gets your
Mhm.
quarterback in a groove and his confidence going, okay, we're rolling now. Keep the
Yes.
play action, the run game, but take those deep shots.
Mhm.
Jalen Johnson, they just announced him out. He's not playing. I think Stevenson is playing. Brisker said he plans to play, but they can be had over the top. So you keep hitting those little short passes, get your quarterback in a groove, but take those shots too, because we can get one. We can get one on them. But yeah, don't abandon the run. Quick game, but
Mhm.
definitely still take a few shots over the top.
So I talked about this earlier, as far as being able to convert on third down. So, if we're sitting third and short, especially in situations where we think we might go for it on a fourth down, let's run the ball and let's get the first down. When we talk about finishing drives and third down efficiency, the Bears hold opponents to only 34% third down conversion rate. So that's one of the best in the NFL. Uh, for the Vikings, we've struggled on third down and we're only completing 31.8%. So that's definitely not good. High percentage plays when we're in some of those third down short situations, let's give the ball to Jordan Mason and let's go get it. So, especially when we're running at a clip where we're averaging 6.7 yards per carry, let's go ahead and do that and keep that momentum go, keep those drivers alive so we can get more attempts and shots to a Jordan Addison, a TJ Hawkinson, and get them involved into the game plan.
Yeah,
Number
no, I agree. And I've been a big Jordan Mason guy. Like we got
Mhm.
him, I was like, finally, we
Yeah,
got our goal line
use
back.
them.
We drafted a left guard first round. We went out and paid a guard. We went out and paid a center. We already have bookend tackles. It's like, okay, Aaron Jones had a strong season last year running the ball, was a difference maker. Then we add Jordan Mason. It's like they complement each other well. So I love running back. It's my favorite. It's what I played back in the day. It's my favorite position on the offense. I love a good running game, and it's a quarterback's best friend. Like, to be
Mhm.
honest, if you're
Yeah.
being able to run the ball and he can, keep them off balance with play action, that's huge. And we haven't gotten it completely going like I thought we would. And I thought Jordan Mason would be a 10 touchdown kind of guy this year. That hasn't come to fruition. I feel like KOC, the quarterback in him, and this offensive guru tries to get too cute. Sometimes, hey, just get the first down. You know what I mean? Like if it's second one or whatever, and you want to go over the top because you think you can run on third and one, maybe. But sometimes just extend the drive, or if it's on the goal line, run it in, man.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be some crazy play. You know what I mean? Just keep it simple. And let's set our young quarterback up for success, because sometimes I don't think we quite are.
And I think we already kind of talked about three. We need to run the ball effectively and set up that
100%.
play action. They're vulnerable deep and setting up that play action. I think letting JJ be able to use his mobility, whether that be, hey, if you see green in front of you, and nobody's absolutely open downfield, JJ, I want you to run the ball and I want you to use your legs and get that first down or pick up a big play.
Right.
So let's move to number 4, limit explosive plays and protect the back end of the defense. So, we've been burnt in some games where, Eagles, Lions on some of those big explosive plays. Now, Roma Dudze
Mhm.
is going to come in here with, the hope that he can burn us in the deep game as well. He's a fast player on the back end. We got to make sure that we have that over the top safety coverage on him too. It's going to be hard you can't just cover him man, and we run a lot of zone defense. So hopefully we have that over the top coverage for him. So, but limiting those explosive plays and being able to protect that back end of the defense, I think, is one of the most important things. We're a bent, when we're bend, don't break. that's where we're able to help our offense and keep us in the game. And that's how some of these games that we should maybe sometimes not have had any business being into, we've been in the game because the defense has done a really good job. But
Yeah.
what we can't do to the defense is we can't turn over the ball and constantly leave them out there on the field when they just came off the field and put them in bad situations and short field situations as well.
Right. And Ben Johnson is a very good offensive mind. He sets
Mm-hmm.
things up. He knows how to get his playmakers the ball. And Odunze is a guy. And, and Colston Loveland started playing better recently. The fans over there are really high on Luther Burden, waiting on him to be unlocked. You still have DJ Moore over there. They've got guys who can get one on you. So they got it. They got to keep everything in front of them. The thing for me, do not let Caleb get outside of the pocket and make those plays. Like he was killing us that first game with it at first. And then we settled down and got it together, but they got the guys who can hit those. And, we got to watch it. And Ben Johnson will set that kind of stuff up. You know what I mean? He will.
Mm-hmm.
And Isaiah Rogers got hit with the double move, against AJ Brown and everything like that. Keep everything in front of you. Bend don't break. They're gonna get some yards. They have talent. You know what I mean? So the Bears, this is maybe the best Bears offense that I can remember in at least a while. You know what I mean? They're on the come up, and I knew they would be, and that's why I was glad we played them week one. And on the road we got them, and at home, it should be the same in my opinion, but. They are good, man. You can't look past them. It's a division game too. Keep everything in front of you.
Absolutely. Last one I have is mix up the offensive tempo. So, sorry, I have to keep the Ravens, keep the Bears guessing on this one. So mix up that tempo and make sure that we're not making silly mistakes to where we're putting our offense. Don't get cute with it.
Yeah.
So we want to mix up that tempo and play fast when we need to, whether it be a 2-minute type situation. But it seems like whatever is working in the scripted offensive plays in the beginning of games is totally working for JJ McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
He is very successful in that first part of games where he is able to absolutely, for some reason, he feels more comfortable, confident. He's on target with his plays, and we're having success. So hopefully we can build on some of that and take that into this game and be a little bit more successful as well.
Colin Cowherd, he likes to hate on JJ a lot. And he said one thing that I kind of was like, okay, I can see that. He said he's Baker Mayfield. And I thought about watching Baker with the Browns, and Baker would do that when he started having OBJ come in and it got a little rocky. He would do that where it was like you could see the flashes, but he would get a little inaccurate or felt like he was trying to do too much sometimes, be a hero. And JJ can get like that too a little bit. Keep them off balance. Change the tempo. But that first drive against the Ravens, it was like, oh, he's here. He just beat the Lions. Then the first drive against the Ravens, it's like, oh yeah, And then the rest of the game, it wasn't quite so pretty. So I don't know if he just gets a little amped up, but I expect him. I really expect him to settle down some this game. They said he had. Which I know might not mean nothing. It might be BS, but they said he had some of his best practices throwing the ball this week, So they really needed to look in the mirror after that Ravens game. Glad it was against the Ravens because they're a very good opponent when they're fully healthy now, and their defense is doing what they did last year. They got better as the season went on. So to lose to them, they're out of the AFC. Okay, I can handle that loss. But now it's the division. Now we're in must-win territory, and it's at home. You cannot lose this game. You can't.
So I'm gonna throw this out to you.
Yeah.
So before we go to the interview I had with Sean at Bears No Context, I want to make sure that I give you an opportunity. So do you want to go ahead and make a prediction at what you think the game is going to be on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean the Bears are good. They're better than they have been. Their schedule whatever, but it's a division game. You can throw all that stuff out. JJ has never lost to a rival in college. Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State, never lost to him. So far in the NFL, beat the Bears on the road, beat the Lions, who we hadn't beaten since like 2022 or whatever. You know what I mean? I expect him to do it again. You know, maybe he just has this killer instinct. He locks in against those division rivals a little bit more, a little bit different. I'm predicting. I don't know if you saw Minnesota Vikings Twitter reached out to me yesterday because I quote tweeted the Will the Thrill graphic, the Will the Thriller Halloween graphic, and they said they wanted to send me a signed copy of that. And I was like, am I really seeing this right now? 27-24. Will the Thrill game winner as time expires. JJ McCarthy gets us in field goal range, and the Bears get 9. That's my prediction. Division game. That's what I'm expecting.
I like it. 27-24. Josh, I definitely want to thank you. I hope we can have you on again if you're willing to come on and share your voice and your opinion with us. You've been fantastic. So again, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to go ahead and shift over to the Bears side of the house with Sean. And Sean at Bears No Context, he was able to join me earlier this week. And so this is a recording of that segment. And again, I can't thank Josh enough for coming on the show and sharing his opinion. So in the future, if there's any of you out there on Vikings X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, you want to come on the show, share your voice, we'd love to have you on. And yeah, so thank you again, Josh. That was awesome. Follow him again at the Bro Ohioan on X. All right. Here's the next segment with Sean at Bears No Context. So on the very next segment, we do have a special guest with us this week because in week 11, we are playing the Chicago Bears. I did reach out to other social media podcasts and different accounts to try to bring on an opposing view from the Chicago Bears. And with that, I was able to find an account that was willing to come on here that's a huge fan of the Chicago Bears, does a lot of content for them as well. And it's No Context Bears. So I got Sean that I'm bringing in. And this is a unique opportunity for Sean because the No Context Bears account provides no context. So this is Sean's opportunity to actually add some context to what the Chicago Bears are doing in a game format. You can follow Sean in his account, at least on X. I'll let him talk about his different social media accounts, but he runs the at Bears No Context on X. So if we have any Chicago Bears fans or even Vikings fans that just want to check out to see what the other team is doing, go ahead and give him a follow on X. With no further ado, I'm going to welcome on Sean from No Bears Context.
Steve, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate you.
Yeah. Absolutely, Sean. So like I said, this is your opportunity to actually provide some context to what your favorite squad's doing.
Yeah. Usually I stay out of the context game, but this will allow me to kind of dive deeper into it. Not a big like X's and O's guys, but more about the vibes and kind of like the moments in history throughout being a Bears fan, the highs and lows. A lot of lows recently, but this year is starting to change, and I think the vibe's changing. And kind of running the account, I can get the temperature of Bears fans, high or low, and right now they're pretty high.
Well, tell us a little bit about what you do on your different social media accounts that you have, and where else on social media any Bears fans that are out there or anyone else watching from the NFC North can maybe check out some of your stuff.
Sure. Yeah. So I also run an Instagram account that's No Context Bears, all one word there. And then I follow up with a Threads account where I do some posting there. But mainly I'll just share moments throughout time of the Bears leading up to opponents like the Vikings. I'll just share random plays that we all remember. like I think yesterday I showed a random third quarter touchdown from Mitch Trubisky against the Vikings. But all these moments where, I'll post them and I see fans kind of comment like, oh, I was at that game, or I remember that. So I've been doing that for a couple of years now, and seeing those kind of responses of just like of people remembering these random plays throughout history. I'm like, oh, they're kind of like fans like me who don't forget those moments, even though they're super small. But yeah, so I've been doing mostly that, and then during the game, I'll post whatever I can, whether it's odd moments, because I try to capture screenshots of someone's face looking a little bit off, or the score bug with a fun stat, things like that. But try to stay out of the bigger highlight kind of moments, because the bigger accounts are going to tackle those. But those moments where a fan would be like, oh, I remember that, and then kind of capturing that on Twitter or on X now. So yeah, that's kind of the main goal.
Well, you guys definitely have some more context that you can provide in a positive light for this season. You guys are 6-3. Apologize, wrong graphic here. Taking a look at the tail of the tape for week 11. You guys are looking good in most of the rankings, at least by PFF stats wise. Overall, you guys are ranked 13th. Offense looking good at 10th. Now, again, last year, Caleb Williams, you saw some flashes, but just wasn't putting it all together. This year, a much more polished passer. Caleb Williams is really showing that he has the opportunity to really cement and justify maybe that number one ranking. Now, Drake May, at least fantasy wise, especially too. Drake May is having a good season, and he's got the Patriots looking great record wise. But Drake May and Caleb Williams, I mean, because Jaden Daniels, he's kind of having that CJ Stroud sophomore slump kind of going on, and of course some health problems there. Bo Nix, yes, they have a good record. But Bo Nix hasn't exactly been consistent either. I mean, I think the defense has really been carrying the Broncos through a lot of those moments, minus the Giants game that the Broncos had. But, Caleb Williams is starting to come into his own a little bit more this year. Your defense, it's ranked 24th, and, you've gotten into some shootouts like with Cincinnati. But again, big plays down the stretch from Caleb Williams helped you stay in that game to win the game. Special teams 14th, whereas on the opposite side of the spectrum, we're ranking last in almost every category except for special teams, where Will Reichard and Miles Price, except for last week, of course, have really kept us really high in the rankings. We're 4-5. To us, this Bears game at home is an absolute must win for the Vikings if we have any chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, that was actually going to be a question I was going to pose to you of whether or not this is a must win, but definitely seems like it, especially looking at your schedule for the next couple games with the Lions and Packers coming up. But yeah, to be honest, I think those numbers are a little bit of a lie, because the Bears could easily be 2-7 this year. They had 4 miracle wins, against the Raiders, the Bengals, and then last week, games that, a ball bounces a different way. And, we're looking at 2-7 with questions about Ben Johnson and questions about Caleb. And, when we were 0-2 at the start of the year, the questions about Caleb and all that, and whether or not we could shake this kind of curse of the last like 4 or 5 years came up. But the only thing to kind of cure that is winning. And we started doing that with the Cowboys game. We put some good film out there. And I think since then we've kind of followed up and kept that momentum going. But, after, the dust settled after Sunday, I kind of took a step back and was like, this could this could have looked a lot worse. I think we're getting wins where the last few years we haven't. It's like the complete opposite where those things were happening to us. I feel like I've seen plays that we're making done to us in the past, and now it's in reverse. And Caleb's he's like maturing in front of our eyes. He was always like a very mature quarterback coming out, like mentally. But the last, few games, it's just like everyone's trusting him. Even the veterans. The veterans are like, yeah, this our guy, and that's kind of rare to see in a second-year quarterback, because I think a lot of Bears fans forget that he's only 2 seasons in, and he's still very, very young. And we're already expecting the world out of him. So personally, I tried to zoom back a little bit, because I've seen those stats, and we're in the top 10 in a bunch of offensive categories. But when I thought about it, I was like, I don't think we've played a complete game yet. We've had a lot of quarters where we can't do anything on offense, and a lot of it has to come out in those kind of 2-minute drills where that's where the offense starts to come out. And well, as a Bears fan, you kind of worry, you're like, this isn't sustainable, so as good as those numbers are, and it's great not to see the bottom of the ranking as we've had in the last few years with Justin Fields and Trubisky in those quarterback categories, I'm still a little hesitant to go all in.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can relate, as far as, having to scramble towards the ends of games to really win. I mean, look at week 1, JJ McCarthy played three and a half quarters of not great, just ugly football. And then, needed, just one hell of a comeback to even win that game. But that's how he's been in both of his wins. The Lions. Now the Lions game was a little bit different. He started out hot. He went cold for a long time and then had to come back hot again. Now the thing that we've seen with JJ McCarthy is he has a tendency of doing really well in those initial scripted drives, and then after that, I don't know if it's a combination of the play calling, or what it is, but he just seems to struggle after that. But then when it gets late in a football game, then it's like he hits a different gear. And yes, it wasn't the prettiest thing at the end of the Baltimore game, but it was almost, kind of some of the same for us, where JJ McCarthy was, and props to him for making, trying to look down the field to look for plays. Whereas early in the season, especially during the Bears game, he was just, if the read wasn't there, and this could be to the offensive lines, you guys were getting to him really quick. He was just abandoning the pass, and he was committed to, I'm going to run for it.
Yeah.
Whereas we saw it in the Lions game and in the Baltimore game, he's now keeping his eyes downfield to try to make a play. But what we saw in the Ravens game is that, he kind of did not want to run the ball. And even when he had open grass in front of him until late in the game, and then it was too late at that point to really do anything about it. So hopefully we see a little bit, just make good decisions when you're in that moment. So we can relate to that. JJ is 2-2 in these games. Obviously he's always going to be compared to that same quarterback class that Caleb Williams is part of. But obviously Caleb Williams has quite a few starts under his belt versus JJ McCarthy. So we're definitely going to always see him compared, even though, clearly there's a little bit of an advantage as far as experience goes. And you guys are now now starting to see the fruits of the patience, in the rough year that you guys saw. Can you just talk to, because as a Vikings fan base, I'm not trying to glaze JJ McCarthy, but what I am trying to say is you guys went through some of the growing pains with Caleb Williams that first year, so can you just kind of talk about your fan base also trying to go through, hey, the ups and the downs, and right now, yeah, obviously, we're experiencing some of those downs, but being patient and now seeing it maybe pay off a little bit with Caleb Williams in him in his second year now starting to show, learning from some of those mistakes and showing some experience and maturity.
Yeah, I think it's something we've seen since day one with him. The talent's there, the playmaking ability. You know, he can roll out, you know, to his left and throw right-handed, kind of like, you know, that Jeter-esque throw, where he's jumping. And, you know, you see those and you go, whoa, that's not normal kind of thing. But then I think last year there was a lot of like decision making down the stretch, last 2 minutes, and obviously you can blame coaching. I think I'm I'm a little bit of a Eberflus defender, as you know. He definitely should have been fired, but his defensive coaching for the Bears was fantastic. We had some great defenses during his term, but in terms of like game management, those last 2 minute things, I think he was very bad, and I think that really hurt Caleb, because Caleb, you know, coming from college is totally different game. Because in those last 2 minutes, it matters if you take a timeout at, you know, 2 seconds before the 2 minute warning, and you have to keep that all into consideration while making amazing plays that are like, you know, razor thin holes to get to a receiver. So I think as bad as last year was in terms of the style of losses, they're just like horrific, heartbreaking, all that. And he didn't get injured. He played. I think I heard yesterday that he's played every snap since he's come into the league. So I think he just got thrown into the fire, and there's no better way to learn than that. You know, every Bears fan remembers the Thanksgiving game from last year where they didn't call a timeout in time, and the game just kind of ran out. And as bad as that was, I'm not seeing anything like that this year. Whenever we're in those, you know, that final 1-2 minutes, the timeouts are being taken correctly. He's getting out of bounds at the right time. He's making the right plays. And that I don't think you can learn unless you go through it, really. And that's why, you know, I think from what I've seen of McCarthy, obviously he doesn't have, he's got what, 4 games? This would be his 5th coming up.
Correct.
So from what I've seen, that he's definitely got the talent. He's got the drive, that, you know, that little extra that kind of makes a difference in winning or losing a game. But it's just time and patience, and not getting injured is the big thing. Is that Caleb went through all this stuff and didn't get injured. So it was just nothing but learning, and I'm sure he got beat up a bit. But if you can get through it and stay healthy, then you can make that turn in your, you know, second or third year. I think with McCarthy, you kind of have to look at him as a rookie. He's almost like a redshirt freshman in a way. So I think just give him time, and you know, we'll see.
I think we're at that point where you guys were last year, mid-season, with Caleb Williams. You guys have the weapons, just like the Vikings have weapons on offense. But you know, there was some inexperience as far as having, you know, making the right play, maybe running backwards and taking sacks he shouldn't have taken last year, you know, with Caleb Williams. And then, you know, maybe some accuracy concerns last year with Caleb Williams too. And I feel like we're going through all of that with JJ McCarthy too. And you know, you can tell me, is this true with your fan base? I mean, there was some clamoring at times, at least that I was hearing, for fans saying, you know, let's put in Tyson Bagent.
Yeah.
You know, So, we're hearing some of that. We got Max Brosmer, especially with, possibly some injury on the right hand for JJ McCarthy. But is that fair to say that you guys were dealing with some of those same things that we're having to go through now?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, there's always going to be 20% of the fans that overreact, and they're very loud. And if Caleb throws an incomplete pass on something that should have been completed, they'll jump out and try to get that that dopamine hit. But we also have a good problem in that Tyson Bagent is a very, very good backup,
Right.
and he could probably start on a few NFL teams right now. And he's very likable. This offseason, he took kind of they signed him, and we had this
Friendly contract, right?
Exactly, yeah, and it was this heartwarming moment where like now he can pay for his family and all that, and that just the Midwestern fans just love that kind of
outside
feel.
looking in. I thought that was an awesome moment as well too.
Exactly, yeah.
For him to get paid, and I thought that was an awesome move by the Bears for sure. Let's jump into what you think the Chicago Bears need to do now. There's several things that the Vikings need to do to get a win here, to really just kind of fix the mistakes from last week. But take us through what you think are your keys to the victory for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, so I think number one is to keep McCarthy in the pocket. You kind of talked about that fourth quarter in week one, where he kind of used his feet to open everything up. And for a young quarterback, throwing downfield and the routes are more challenging and stuff. And running around is kind of something they've always done. Turning the game into a backyard football game for McCarthy kind of changes things and loosens it up. And I've seen that a lot in Caleb, where like if he can turn it into a backyard football game where when things aren't going well, it kind of loosens them up. He almost like kind of needs a hit to get going sometimes, and that's something that McCarthy I think that really switched the game in week one, where he got out, picked up a couple first downs, and kind of opened it up. And then you have the threat of like, oh, is he going to go? We can't get burnt again. And then he's obviously an NFL quarterback who's good enough, and he can hit wide open receivers. And we have a not good defense when it comes to passing right now. And on first down, we're giving up tons of yardage. So if we can keep him contained, force him to have like long second, third downs, and not let him get, because if it's 2nd and 4, he can do those bootlegs and pick up first downs very easily.
No, you guys are pretty good on third down, and not to mention, keeping McCarthy in the pocket and, being able to, possibly turn him over has really been a key to the Bears' success this year. You guys lead the league in turnovers. You get in turnover margin. You guys are plus 14 this year. We're on the opposite spectrum of that, especially lately. So it's going to be key for us to, McCarthy make good decisions. So absolutely. I like that. Number one, keep in the pocket, because, when he does run, and we saw that towards the end of the game, and actually we saw it in him running for a touchdown in Detroit. We saw it with the Bears game in week one, and we saw it again, at least it being effective towards the end of the game against the Ravens. He does have that ability and that mobility to move and pick up some first downs with his legs. So I like that one.
Yeah. And then number two is it's more about playing a complete game. That's something they haven't done all season. They've had some fast starts where they have that good first scripted drive, and then second quarter they kind of fall flat. Third quarter maybe here and there, and then fourth quarter's like up for grabs. If it's chaos, they seem to be coming out of it with a win. But I would like to see them kind of get ahead, establish a 2-possession lead, and hold on to it. And I would love to just watch a stress-free fourth quarter. And that hasn't happened pretty much all year. And I mean, it's the NFL, so that's kind of rare, and it's also a division game. But the Vikings have had our number for 5+ years now. I think it's 8 out of 10 the Vikings have beat us in. So that gets in your head a little bit. So if even if we do have a 1-possession game and McCarthy's driving, I'm not going to feel confident. The defense isn't going to feel confident. So to just take that out of the equation completely and keep stepping on not to be too mean, but keep stepping on their throats and keep pushing. And hopefully we see more of that.
That'll possibly turn the Vikings into maybe a one-dimensional offense. If you guys do get up by a couple of scores, one of the things that us Vikings fans have been harping on is that we've been successful in the running game in the last couple of games, and then we seem to go away from it. When you get down by a couple of scores, that kind of it kind of makes coaches feel like they can't run it as much, and you have to go for more passes on those downs. So. And I think that does favor the Bears defense, making this game a little bit more one-dimensional. Now, your number 3 is elevating Luther Burden. So as you guys get into, this number 3 key to victory, is DJ Moore hurt, and why haven't we seen as much of Luther Burden this year?
I'm not sure on the status of DJ Moore right now. I think yesterday he was on the injury report as DNP. He didn't practice. So, and then he hurt his shoulder at some point during the game.
Okay.
I think he went out in the game and then tried to come back in, but you could just see something was off with him. So I think, he'll probably be a game time decision. And as to why hasn't he played so much, I know he had a concussion where I think he was out for 2 weeks. And he's a rookie. And I think early on, Zacchaeus, who is probably our true WR3.
I was going to ask you about that because it seems like he has been getting a lot more looks and a lot more playing time as far as snap wise goes between Burden and him.
Yeah, he definitely has, especially at the start of the year. I think with Luther Burden being kind of a rookie, he had to almost prove it to get out there. And he had Burden had a big game against the Cowboys, which kind of said like, okay, this guy's a legit receiver. He can play in the NFL. But Zacchaeus, for up until last game, he was almost. I think he was like the emergency option for Caleb. He seemed to always be open when Caleb needed him, and I think Caleb could feel that he's comfortable. He seems to be open when he needs him open the most. So he kept going back to him. And then this last game, Zacchaeus he wasn't there. I think he dropped 3 balls. Granted, it was bad weather, very snowy. There were a lot of drops in the game. But he dropped 3 big passes that really could have made the fourth quarter a lot easier. So, and I think I'm not going to read Ben Johnson's mind, but I think this has kind of always been the plan of, that's why we drafted him, was to have Rome, have DJ, and then Luther Burden as this kind of third guy. And if those 3 could, I don't think they've all been healthy together really and have all produced in a game yet. But if all 3 of those guys can get dialed in and you have Caleb, I mean, sky's the limit.
All right. Take us through number 4, win early downs on defense.
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned how they're very good on third down, but they're very bad on first down. So they're just, giving up 7, 8, 9 yards every first down, it feels. And, it's always second and short.
Do you feel like that's through the run or the pass?
Probably definitely a mix of both, but it feels like the run where yeah, it's almost like they don't know what's coming. And then second and short, and then you have kind of the option to do whatever you want on second and short. And for someone like McCarthy, if he can have options on second and short where he's like, I can run, I can pass down deep. I think that's something we got to take away from him. Got to force him into second and long. People don't talk about second and long as like an important thing, but I think it's one of the most important things. Obviously, you can have short first downs because of penalties or whatever, and I think we need to clean that up too. I think there's a lot of silly penalties we've been giving up, but yeah, if you can force a second long second down, or at least keep them to 2-3 yards on the first down, it changes the entire possession, because yeah, we've been seeing a lot of second and shorts, and quarterbacks they have freedom to do what they want.
Well, the Bears rank 22nd per PFF in run defense, and I think that's one of the things where I want to see us stay committed to the run game and try to have success. Because on the opposite spectrum, of course, we've been shooting ourselves in the foot, and when we get into those third and long situations, and even fourth down situations, JJ McCarthy has not been good in those situations. So obviously we want to stay away from those, and any team does, but I definitely think that is crucial for us as well.
Yeah, noted. I'll pass that along to the team.
Stop relying on late game magic, right?
Yeah.
I think that kind of goes for both teams, but talk us through the late game magic and what you mean by stop relying on that, other than getting up by a couple scores.
Yeah, I mean, as amazing as it's been, it's so fun to see that happen, especially with the opposite has been happening to us for the last few years, and so it just feels good. Like it feels good to have some good luck on our side. But like I said, when I kind of zoomed out after the win, it's like, this can't last forever. You can't rely on it. It's not sustainable. And that's something that can turn on a dime, where it's a lot of momentum, and it can carry over into the next game. So if we have a late fourth quarter drive that fails, that carries over into the next game, and you're like, we're not going to do it this game. And right now we feel like if we're down in the fourth quarter, we're going to win, and which is great to have, but it's just not sustainable. If you look back at all these kind of magical drives, you can find a play where you're like, you got away with that one, and you're like, oh, that could have really gone bad. If we look at the Bengals game, you needed a missed tackle by like 3 defenders, for that touchdown to Loveland to open up. And before that, there were some wild plays where Caleb just had to kind of scramble and throw it away. And it's not sustainable, and you don't want to rely on it. And we need to build leads. Like you can't win if you're behind 14 in the fourth quarter. I mean, maybe you can beat the Giants, who were at the end of a coach, and Jackson Dart got hurt last game. So I think if Jackson Dart's healthy last game, we lose. So staying away from that, and it's no way to keep going. Yeah.
So I got some quick, I'm just looking for, just a quick couple word response on it. Do you think DJ Moore is on the Chicago Bears next year?
I think if the right deal comes up, we'll take it. I don't know what that deal is. NFL trades kind of confuse me a little bit, where you'll see a a big name guy get traded for like a 4th-round pick or whatever. So I don't know what that deal is, what would be a good deal for him. Unfortunately, this year his stats don't look great. He hasn't had too many big plays. So I'm guessing his trade value is low right now. So it might just make sense to keep him.
I feel like a lot of the things that DJ Moore does well is also kind of fits in the wheelhouse of what Luther Burden is. And
a little bit.
They're the same player. So that's just one where I think DJ Moore, if I had to guess from the outside looking in and all the rumors that were swirling before the season started and then the trade deadline, I think if you guys weren't at 6-3, I don't think DJ Moore's on that team. If you guys are below 500. And then what do you guys do at running back next year? Is Kyle Monangai, and is it going to be a Swift Monangai type? You see a lot of teams going with 1-2 punches now. Do they hold on to Swift?
Yeah, I think so. I think they, like you said, that kind of lightning and thunder kind of mix up that that the Lions have with Montgomery and Gibbs. I think that's what every team is kind of chasing, and I think in the last couple of weeks we've seen our thunder in Monangai. He can pound the rock. He can do stuff that Swift can't really do. Swift is very dicey, very does a lot of cuts on the outside when he gets the ball in space. But that's the goal. And with Monangai, being a rookie and Swift being a little bit of a veteran, I think that's all you can ask for. I know people can be pretty hard on Swift, our fans, but I think in today's league you need a complementary backs, and that's something he really hasn't had during his time here. But what he has had is a lot of explosive plays. A lot of screens that have gone for 50, 60 yards. And that's something you can't just kind of ignore because when that's paired with a powerful runner like Monangai, the game opens up completely.
Now, I would have loved to have had you on for our live pregame show. So this is recorded. So later on in our live show this Saturday, we will be talking about our predictions for the game. But before we let you go, I do want to give you an opportunity. Do you want to make a prediction on the game? Because this is your opportunity to add context.
It's true. I'll give you one. But I think, Vikings Bears division game and going after week 1 where it was close. That damn sound. I'll say 27-24 Bears. Last second field goal, last second drive again. As much as I don't want to go through that stress, but I don't see it really going any other way. But either way, it will be close, and I think McCarthy will have a really good game. I think it'll kind of ease any tensions Vikings fans are having, because I think he'll be very good in this league, and I think he'll be a problem in this division for us.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Sean. Again, any of you Bears fans or anyone in the NFC North that wants to check out what Sean is doing, at least on X, you can go ahead and follow him. I think you have other links there too for your other social media, for Threads and Instagram, but go ahead and follow him at Bears No Context on X. And I think I had that wrong on the little banner I put up. So at Bears No Context on X. So again, thank you so much, Sean, for coming on the show. And I hope when we play the Bears later in the season, we can have you back on. Sorry, we've already played the Bears once. Hopefully next
in the playoffs.
So this is a must-win game for us. So hopefully next year, though, we can do this again. I think this was fun and love having you on. You were a great guest. Good luck to the Bears. As much as it maybe hurts, I'd rather see the Bears have some success this year than the Packers. And honestly, the Lions, they need to be brought down a notch. So if I had to see a team succeed this year, I'll say I'd like to see the Bears do well, just not this week. So thanks again, Sean, for coming on. Definitely appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you. All right. So that was Sean from Bears No Context, and just an awesome two guests that I had on the show today, with Josh at the Borough Highland earlier in the show, and then of course Sean, Bears No Context, giving that view from the opposing team that we face this week. So I definitely want to thank all of you that were watching through this very long podcast that we had for the pregame show. Make sure that you're following us for the postgame show that will be right after the Bears game tomorrow as well. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't also mention one of our other sponsors, Homage, homage.sjv.io/Vikings, that you can see up on the top of your screen on the banner. That's one of the ways that you can help support us. They have great, comfortable clothing. Let's roll the ad. So we had predictions, from both Sean and Josh, and I'm going to get into my prediction here. But before I do, I had a couple of different comments on here too. And Fat Killa on X says, "Love the show. Keep up the good work," I think is what he means there. Thanks, Fat. Definitely appreciate that. Frosty, I think he's got the wrong show here. I think he's thinking of the Fantasy 15, but I'll answer it anyways. He says, "Quick question, guys. Sorry, but Pittman or Odunze rest of the season PPR?" I'm going to go with Pittman. He's actually the number 8 fantasy wide receiver this year in PPR, and Odunze sitting at number 17. So I'm going to go Pittman the rest of the way, especially when we're talking about this week. Go Vikings. So I'll shift on that one and make sure that I go Pittman. With that, my prediction for this week, definitely, I think you got Justin Jefferson that wants to have a turn back the clock type of game here. I think just a lot of things working where I think just the whole team, after the way last week went with all the miscues, the penalties, the turnovers, I just think that there's hopefully a fire this week in a must-win game against the Bears at home, where we fix and correct some of that stuff and we come out just guns a-blazing. So for me, I'm going to go the Minnesota Vikings 31 and the Chicago Bears 28. That's my prediction. I think the Vikings in a must-win game, they have to have this game, and I'm predicting the victory on Sunday. So again, join us tomorrow right after the game or shortly towards the end of the game is usually when I like to go live for it, depending on how close it is. But join us for the post-game show for your comments and questions. We'll answer those as best as I possibly can. We'll see who joins me for the post-game show too. And yeah, go Vikings. Skol. Go get that win. And thanks again for everyone watching, tuning in. Make sure that you're following us on X, YouTube, Facebook, and also on TikTok. And then if you haven't already, please make sure that you're also following us on our Substack. We have really good articles on our Substack. Just make sure that you go check them out, read them, and follow us there as well. So for Viking Central, I'm Steve, your host, and look forward to a Vikings win on Sunday, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks, everyone.